Here? Oh, my degree, Master of Science in Energy Systems Engineering. So I studied Energisystem at Uppsala University.
Where in the US are you?
One more time?
Where in the US are
Oh, I'm in Florida. I'm in the Tampa Bay area on the west coast of Florida, so in the Gulf, where we had the hurricane a couple weeks ago, actually.
you? And the damages or things that say
Let's see here. I'm not hearing so good. When I started sharing the screen, the volume kind of went away a little bit.
okay. No things went on like last time. I can raise my voice and you think
Okay, try one more time. I stopped the screen share. That might help.
so do you hear?
I hear you a little bit. You're cutting in and out, Ibrahim, but I guess the main thing is you guys can hear me, right?
Yes,
Okay. All right. Give it another couple minutes, and then we'll start.
must be really early in your part.
Ibrahim, I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
You can let somebody have like earphones. The microphone earphones. Well, if we do it, let me know. So I'll tell you what. To solve this problem, we have done the next, and then we can bring in the question will be at the end.
I got that part. Got it.
So the weather, huh?
It's pretty good here in Florida. I don't know about Sweden.
-1.
Is it snowing yet?
No.
Yeah. Don't worry, it will come.
So,
All right. You guys ready to go?
yes.
All right. My name is Carl Naslund. I studied Energy Systems Engineering at Uppsala University. Graduated, was it 5 years ago or so? And by chance, I ended up in the United States and slipped into a job. And I'll be happy to share my experiences. And I'll be talking about project management in the United States today. It's a very different culture here from in Sweden, but I think it's something that you all could benefit from in the work life in Sweden a lot. And I know there's a big gap between the academic and the actual work world. So I'm hoping to share some actual experiences with you guys that will benefit you when you're done studying and roll into the work life. Oh yeah, speaking of snow, when I meet women, I immediately start talking about global warming. It's a real icebreaker. So now that we know each other, we can move on with the presentation. So a few quotes that come into mind, speaking of project management, is are these three here. And first one, a man who leads the orchestra must turn his back to the crowd. You must be able to place faith in your employees, not micromanage them, have confidence that they will do their job. That way you can expand in your role. If everything seems under control, you're not going fast enough. And trust me, it's not steady pace workload. You will have days going up, down, weeks, months. So you just, yeah, and that leads me to the third quote there as well. In the midst of chaos, keep the stillness inside you. So project management can be very hectic, and I did not know much about project management until I started working with it, to be honest. And I mean, it's been a real eye-opener, and organizations believe that good project management are 97% important to the company's success. So that is huge, and trust me when I say it's key in running a successful business. So what you guys are doing is great, honestly. Don't know exactly what course you guys are in, but project management is a very good work line to roll into. Today I'll be talking about a few different things. Firstly, what I do as a project manager, and I work in construction here in the United States for an electrical contractor. We specialize in high-rise construction, multifamily, so lägenhetsbyggnader. Simply put, we build tall ones, 40, 60-story high-rises that people move into and live in, and they have mixed use with restaurants and everything at the bottom. And I want to talk to you about the future of the construction industry. I believe that's a very good industry to roll into, and I will tell you why. And I will tell you about Power Design, my company I work for, who we are, what we do, and then I'll speak about my endless responsibilities as a project manager. I really like my role, but it's a lot of responsibility. Then I will break down for how we approach the project life cycle. I think it's very typical for a project management role and for a project. It reflects no matter if you work in construction or in any other industry. And I remember that a lot of times we ran through presentations back in my day. So how many of you want the 15-minute break? You can raise your hands. I won't hear you. If you want the 15-minute break, raise your hand.
Not right now.
Dismissed. No. All right. If you don't want the break, yeah, raise your hand. All right. We're definitely going to take a break. I'll need a coffee break as well because it's 7 a.m. here in Florida. So, all right. After the break, that will be 15 minutes, not now, later. I will talk about working in project management in the United States and how that culture differs from working in Sweden. Hopefully some things, or I'm fairly certain that some of those things will carry good weight in the work life in Sweden as well. I'll talk briefly about leadership as well, and then we will have the questions in the end like you wanted, Ibrahim.
Thank you.
So start off here. I was actually born in the United States with Swedish parents. I lived here for a few years, and then I grew up in Sweden my whole life, and my parents were great enough to keep up with the paperwork, actually. So I carried a dual citizenship for my whole life, which enabled me to come back here after, I don't know, 15 years. And they just said, "Welcome home, Mr. Naslund," when I came to visit Florida 5 years ago. I thought that was nice. And like I said, I studied energy systems engineering at Uppsala University. Very happy I studied engineering. I think it's a great field to roll into. You can basically do anything you want after that. Even project management. I took a year abroad in Australia. I was lucky enough to get a scholarship. That's something I highly recommend to anyone. It's a great life experience. Really gets you out of your comfort zone, and you may make some friends, connections for life. I went to Florida, like I said, about 5 years ago. And after I went with some friends for preseason training and beach volleyball, actually. And my friends had to go back home after 3 months. It was like March. It was still really cold, and there was ice in Sweden. We had about 30 Celsius still, and I was like, I'm just going to stay a few more months and we'll see what happens. And before I knew it, I slipped into a master thesis project for Schneider Electric, so-called Exiob, where I designed a microgrid in accordance with specific project specifications. And then I slipped into an entry-level job with power design, and I grew quickly in my role here, which I'm very happy for. And one thing that is very tough here in the US is vacation time. My first year, working for power design, they gave me 1 week vacation the whole year. Now I'm up to 3 weeks, but I know in Sweden you get a minimum of 5 weeks, which that sounds so nice. And I know a lot of my former colleagues, they have up to 8 weeks now, which is, you're like basically off half the year. Sounds really good. So Sweden's in the back of my mind still, but I really like it here in Florida, actually. So future of construction, I don't know if this is something that's crossed any of your minds, but it's a great field to roll into. As you know, the human population is growing per Wikipedia. Everyone knows what's on Wikipedia is accurate. So what's this tells us is that we'll need more places to live. There's more people in the world. And per the US Department of Energy, the average lifespan of a building is 73 years, which is lower than the human life expectancy here in the US. So what that tells us is the buildings will deteriorate, need to be renovated or rebuilt. So even if we're not building new construction, we will always need to do restoration, renovation, energy efficiency measures. I know that's big in Sweden as well. There will basically always be work in the construction industry. So that's a field I recommend for anyone. I never thought to roll into it. My uncle works in construction, but I'm actually really enjoying it. I'm still learning a lot, and it's very stimulating. So I recommend it. A lot of people don't really think about what field to roll into. IT is another really good field. They project in a few decades that only 1 out of 3 positions will be filled in the US in IT roles. So that's another great one as well. Here we're looking at the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, and here's the current employment in the United States. And as you can see, there's many millions employed here in the construction industry. And the projection all the way on the right is for 2022. So like I said, great future industry to roll into. Here's a picture of Miami where we do a lot of work. And each project we have gets 1 or 2 tower cranes, more or less. And I don't know how many are in this picture. My eyesight's not good enough to count them all. But as you can see, all these are high-rise buildings, and there's a massive development. This is going on in Texas, in Denver, Colorado. We just broke into the California market as well. It's completely booming here in the United States anyways. I know there may be a financial crisis around the corner, but as of now, it's going really well in the construction industry. So back to what we do. Like I said, we're an electrical contractor. We currently have about 280 active projects. The average project value is $7 million or so. As an electrical contractor, the value of the total project is typically between 10 and 12%. And then you have the concrete guys that do the structure, you have the painters, lots of other trades. So essentially, we are a subcontractor to the general contractor. Like I said, we're specialized in multifamily high-rise construction. So typically we'll build apartments. Sometimes we'll do hotels, äldreboende as well, student housing. And we are considered to provide a very high quality product. We have mostly repeat customers, and that is very important when conducting a successful business.